Your destination is on the left.
So welcome. We love the what?
I love the wind.
I know, me too. The Red Baroness.
Going live. Oh, hello.
Hi.
It's so warm today.
It's Arkansas for you.
Yes.
Hot and humid all summer long.
Oh, my goodness. To make an introduction, I'm Corin.
I'm Jill.
Jill. Everybody, this is Jill. I appreciate you coming down today. I know that you and the ladies took a trip from far away, a land far away, and we really appreciate that.
What we call the mud hole of Arkansas.
Oh, is it the mud hole of Arkansas?
You know, the Delta.
I thought that was
feeds
Toadsuck
everybody.
Ferry.
They call it the mud hole because that's where all the farmland is, where we are, and
Oh,
mosquitoes.
And is that where they have a lot of the rice fields?
Rice fields, cotton, soybeans.
People don't realize that Arkansas is the largest producer of rice in the continental United States of America. Thank you very much. The largest producer of mosquitoes as well. I don't know. Houston might have some compete with that one. Now, we know that you three are besties, which has been nice. When we release these videos, they will be individual videos. But so what I'd really like to do is get to know you and let the folks out here get to know you and hear a little bit of your story. So generally, I just kind of start with where you were born.
I was born in Blytheville, Arkansas, military town.
Okay.
Probably about 25,000. And then my father's family was from where Roxy and Vicky are from.
Okay.
So that's how our dynamic started as friends. But
And how long were you in Blytheville?
up until I was 9th, 10th grade, I moved in with my aunts and went to high school in Lepanto, Arkansas. My mother had kidney disease, and she was sick for a lot of years. She got a kidney transplant. She was a nurse. Went back to work as a nurse. But the bills were so much, and they had sent me to private school. I was like, I'll move in with Aunt Nora. I'll be fine. I'll try public school. And luckily, I made it through with these gals.
Well, in those years growing up in Blytheville, what was home life like for you?
Controlled chaos.
Yeah.
My dad worked construction, and my mom was a nurse, but my dad was her third marriage. So she already had 4 children when they got together. And then they had me, and then they adopted my little brother.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
It's a big family.
So, yeah.
How was it, though? Was it having a big family? Was it...
It's different. I mean, you get a lot of support, and, I had 3 elder brothers, so they like to scrap and get into trouble. So when people found out I was their little sister, it's like, oh, don't talk to that chick. Her brothers will beat you up, that sort of thing.
So they laid a blanket of safety over you.
They did.
Yeah.
They were
by
very
being
protective.
ruffians.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there is a
It
quality.
also scared all the guys off, so I didn't get many boyfriends back then.
Yeah, you know what? There was a benefit, believe me. Most of us guys are a waste of time anyway, right? In Blytheville, what size of a town is it?
Well, it was about 25,000 people.
Oh, I think you mentioned that. That's right.
We had what was called the Ecker Air Force Base there, and when Clinton became president, he shut it down. And then the town just started to just snowball. I think now there's 16,000 population there.
Wow.
So.
Was there a reason why he shut it down? I mean, strange. He used to be governor of Arkansas.
Budget cuts. From what I remember, it was budget cuts. So
I think it was because he didn't win Arkansas in his election.
Could be.
I think it was just a little retribution, maybe.
Could be, yeah.
And we won't talk about Mena, Arkansas. We'll just leave that one alone. So, was Blytheville a pretty stereotypical kind of southern environment to grow up in, and was it?
Somewhat. I mean, it was diverse because of the military. I had a lot of military, what we called our military brat friends.
Mm-hmm.
And they were diverse. You know, they were from all over the country, all over the world. So it was interesting. We had our little skater group of kids,
right,
and of every color of the rainbow.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's one thing that a military base will do is certainly bring in, you know, all different types of characters. I'm from a military family. My dad was he was in the Navy previous to my being born, though. He was out of it by then, but he knew that he was going to be going to Vietnam, and he decided that he would rather join the Navy because there was less likely a chance of him ending up in a foxhole. And he ended up working on a nuclear submarine as a radar operator. You know, spending a lot of his time actually up in the North Atlantic, oddly enough. So he spent most of the war as far away from the war as you could be. So, but military families. Yeah, my mom was in one. It was a lot of move, but you didn't seem to move around a lot, though. Did your father?
I didn't. My father was a crane operator, construction worker.
Okay.
But like our neighborhood, a lot of the military kids lived in our neighborhood back then.
So did they come and go quite a bit?
They would come and go. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And but your stable datum was you weren't leaving.
Right. I was stuck there.
What was that like, though, as a kid, seeing people that you might have started a good relationship or good friendship with just kind of ebb and flow in and out of your life at a young age? That can be a challenge. I think.
It was a challenge, especially back then. You know, we didn't have social media back then.
Thank God.
You know, all we could do is write letters. But I still have 2 girlfriends that we keep in touch with all the time, and they were both military kids that moved around a lot. And one of them lives in Oregon, and where did the other one? I think they both ended up in Oregon. Yeah, they both ended up in Oregon. So.
And in that town, bless you. In that town, so both your parents were working steadily. And working hard because you seem to mention that they had stuck you in a private school.
My brothers got in trouble so much, they just said, we're going to do her different. They raised me, do what I want, speak my mind. I didn't get whippings. My brothers got whippings all the time. I was like, Dad, why didn't you ever give me whippings? He said, well, I hit on your brothers all the time. It didn't do any good, so I thought I'd try something different with you.
You think it worked?
Yeah, somewhat. I stayed out of trouble, but I also saw what they did to their lives by acting that way, and I was like, I'm not going to act like that. So.
At what age did you start noticing that certain behaviors were detrimental to somebody's, you know, not survival, but kind of, you know, the positive outcome of their lives, you know, versus just being a wild child doing whatever you want? Like, when did you notice that?
We were forced to grow up early because our mother got sick. I was probably in 5th grade when she started getting sick. So I'd say late elementary age, notice, hey, you know, you've got to take care of yourself and stay out of trouble.
Do you think that your mother getting sick did that possibly have a kind of a rebellious effect on the brothers? Like, or I
think that they just didn't want to stay home and watch her deteriorate.
Mm-hmm.
That left me at home and someone had to do it. So I kind of took on the motherly role for my mother, you know, making sure the house was clean and she had what she needed, getting dialysis scheduled because we would have to travel over an hour 3 days a week for her dialysis treatments. So.
What from the way you describe it, it seems like you took on this role because you wanted to as much as you felt obligated to.
Yeah.
I mean, because you didn't start it off with, well, I had to, or my, you know.
We just.
What was that made you
we just made a family plan. You know,
Okay.
my father would go to work. She would drive to dialysis, and I would sit there with her. And if she was too weak to drive us home or drive us back to my father's work,
Yeah.
I would drive. And I was like 13 years old. Driving in Memphis, Tennessee.
At 13?
Yes.
Um,
Because there was no way. She was so exhausted from that dialysis, she could barely
Yeah.
walk. So, yeah.
Of course. No, of course you would have to. Let me give me 1 second here. Don't. We're not going to cut. I just need to see if I can get a little bit of shade for this. Maybe I can put that right there. That's right. It's coming, the sun's coming from here. Let me feel it. It doesn't feel that hot. I get paranoid about these things. Me and technology aren't that good of friends, but technology's been with me so far on this. We've had very minor.
Positioning, but I had to move from there because the sun was right in my eyes to here, and this is a lot better. So I don't know if that.
We could pause it and reposition real quick if I want to. Let's see where we're at. Yeah. Are you okay sitting here?
I'm fine.
Okay. Let's keep going. And I'm not going to edit any of that out because you get to see just how organic and real this whole experience is. What age were you when you took on this? Was it before 13 or was it at 13?
12, 13.
12, 13?
Yeah. When I turned 14 is when she got her transplant.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, that was wonderful. She got better and went back to work. And she worked until she passed.
And was y'all's relationship tighter after that? Was there a real bonding that occurred during those years of the reversal of
Somewhat,
roles?
yeah. And my mom, she was a wild child. She was the one that took us all to the rock concerts, all the
Okay.
hair bands that we talked about. And yeah, I mean, she just, her zest for life, she always had it, but it was just even bigger when she got the transplant because she had that second chance. So
That's incredible. That's incredible. I'm so glad that you were allowed all of that extra time with her, and that you were able to see her enjoy life again after having had to play the mother role. That reversal there. It's really wonderful that you got to experience her youthful vibrancy again.
yeah, she was something. She was beautiful. Like a lot of people said, she looked like Goldie Hawn. So,
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I
She
can
was
see you got the
something.
curls.
She was something. Yeah.
Was she a big influence on you?
Yeah, she was a nurse, and you know, I thought, I'm gonna go to school and do that. And
Yeah.
I thought, started college, started the classes, and then unfortunately she passed away, and I had a little brother to take care of, and I just really quickly did a business degree so I could get a job and take care of him.
Okay.
So.
That's
I worked in the office side all my life of healthcare.
Okay. Well, that's actually that's a really good job to have. I mean, I feel like there would be a level of stability to working there that would be comforting. Not
Yeah.
like my particular type of work, the lack of stability. Because when you say that you're in the middle of pursuing your dream, you're gonna get the nursing degree and do that, and then and your mom passes away, and I'm so sorry that you had to lose her, but you made a decision to again put yourself aside to go and take care of another family member that
Yeah.
needed you.
Yeah, because our dad worked 16 hours a day. There was no way he could take care of a second grader. My brother was in second grade then. There was no way. And my husband and I, we'd been married for about a year, and we just said, we'll do it, and we did.
So did your little brother came to live with y'all?
Yeah, 90% of the time. Now, when he didn't get his way at my house, I'm going to Dad's. It's like, okay,
Yes.
you go to Dad's. It'll last a day.
Yes, my son has pulled a few of those shenanigans on me and my ex-wife too. It's, gets a little fed up with one of us, goes to the other one, a little fed up there, goes back and forth, so that being said, was there even a moment of hesitation for you when you came to realize that you needed to be there for your younger brother? I mean, did you even hesitate at all?
Because we were sitting there, and it was strange how it came about. My oldest brother looked at my dad. Well, Dad, what are you going to do with that boy? And my dad said, I'm going to raise him. And I said, no, he's going to come live with me. And they just looked at me. I said, you wait and see. And, they just like, yeah, whatever. But
Yeah.
that's what happened.
Yeah, that's amazing, actually. Let me just check and see if this is still recording. Oh yeah, we're golden. I've lost my assistants. They've all disappeared on me.
They've abandoned you.
They're editing. We're so backlogged on editing because we're trying to do some more, formidable episodes with a little bit more, stuff going, a little more pizzazz to them.
It's a good problem to have.
Yes, it is. Yes. This part of your character that allows for you to completely set your personal kind of needs and wants and desires aside for other people. Is that kind of a generalized thing, or are you more specific about who you're willing to set yourself aside for?
For family, it's always 100%.
Always, yeah.
And if I see someone and they're trying to help themselves
Yes.
and they're not getting there, then I'll step in and be like, look, let me help you do this. Let me give you a little push here. That's how I've always been. So,
Yeah.
my grandmother on my dad's mom was like that. She was a nurturer and took care of everyone.
Was she around a lot?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, did you look up to her when you were younger?
Yeah. She raised 14 children. So
What?
She raised 14 children.
She deserves a statue.
Yeah. So
Oh my goodness, 14.
She was the glue.
How's
of
it
the
even
family.
possible?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't
I
imagine.
think my dad is like the
Oh.
third to the youngest.
So you don't know half of your family that's out there anymore, I imagine. They must be so like all over the place.
Actually, where I've built my house now, my family lives all down the road.
Really?
All of my neighbors are family.
You're kidding me.
That's why I'm ready to move. I've had enough.
Well, I can imagine it's not the block anybody wants to go down to go ring and run. You won't get far. That's really cool. What's out of curiosity, what's that like, living on a block with all your family? Do you guys get together a lot? Do you do 4th of Julys and Thanksgivings and all of that? And
Not so much now that my children or my generation of cousins, our children are older. It's branched out and they're doing their own thing. But when all of our children were young, we had, between me and all of my cousins, we had 14 people on the school bus. 14 children on the school bus. And maybe 2 or 3
That's
stragglers that we
crazy.
weren't related to.
well, I mean, I guess you can't. Then if they're harassing each other, you can't really call it bullying. They're related.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh my gosh, that's wild. It almost stops me from thinking because I'm perplexed.
It's hard to wrap your head around
It is.
that, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. It really is.
In the country, it's not called a block. In the country, it's just a road because it's like a
Yeah.
road that's like 2 or 3 miles long.
Oh, I get it. So I'm picturing a suburban
not
street
a
of.
gravel road.
Gotcha. And
Turn
then
down the gravel road, and then about 2 fields that way is my neighbor, and 2 fields this way is my other neighbor.
Yeah.
That sort of, we're spread out a little bit.
Yeah.
But we're all on that same gravel road.
That is so cool, though. I love it. You should get them to name the road after your family. I mean, it should be.
Well, not our road is not, but there is a a road a few miles down that's named after our family.
No kidding.
And we have a mountain in Arkansas named after the family.
Which one? Wait.
Up near Calico Rock. It's called Harveston.
That's so cool. Not many people can say that. Wow.
It's
So how
crazy.
far back generationally does your family go in Arkansas? Do you know?
I would say 5. There's 2 here in Hot Springs.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the great-great-grandfather.
Yeah.
And they left Hot Springs to go down to the Delta for farm work.
Right.
And they stayed. So that's how they ended up there.
Interesting. Yeah. My family ended up in Arkansas. My grandfather was military. He was in the Air Force, and after World War II, he was a B-50 bomber pilot in World War II, and then went into the counterintelligence corps, which is like counter-espionage group of the Air Force. And so he was stationed in Europe during the Cold War. So he spent so a lot of my mom has 4 brothers, and 4 siblings. And they were mostly born over there, and he transferred to Arkansas. So that's why my mom ended up here. But she was raised over in Liverpool for the most part. So she had this weird half Liverpool, half American accent. And I mean, she was just brutalized at school because she just sounded so strange. It was sort of like when I moved from Georgia to Los Angeles, and I had this weird kind of the way I'd say certain words. I mean, I was harassed as well, but in a good humored way.
I have family in Oceanside. They were military too. And when I go visit, I get harassed about my accent.
Oh, your accent is not nearly as rough as some of my family members. My goodness, it is. Every state has its drawbacks. Some of Arkansas is the accent. There's some pretty tough ones.
My mom's father was Air Force. He was a boxer in the service.
Okay.
And they told me that he knocked out Marciano.
Really?
He knocked out Rocky Marciano.
During their military boxing days?
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
I guess so. I don't know if they were just sparring for fun. I tried to get his boxing records, but there wasn't a lot to go on.
Right.
So, but, yeah.
That's a really cool story.
Yeah.
So.
Which leads to my brothers getting in trouble because he taught them how to box.
Oh.
So,
Gotcha.
yeah, and it snowballed, right?
Yeah, so they had that confidence that of being able to defend themselves, and then when you throw a number of them together, it's like a gang.
Mm-hmm.
How did you deal with that transition going from private school? And because it seems to me that you've had this ability again to put yourself aside. You had the foresight to say, hey, you guys can't afford this. Let me go and stay with your aunt, right? And study there. But now, when I think about the kind of craziness that was going on in your household, was this also an ejector seat button that you were pushing?
it may have been. Yeah. It's like, I can't do this. I need some calmness for a while. But it was, I would say education-wise, it was not difficult. Social-wise, it was difficult. But I had these ladies, and I had my cousins that went to school with me. But they were all older than me. So when they all graduated, and I was there by myself my senior year, that was harder than going from private to public. Because my support system my senior year was gone.
And I know in those smaller community schools, it's a lot more difficult to disappear into the background of things. And was your normal social circumstances at that time put into kind of a stressful state when you lost them at the school?
A little bit, and I would just read books and watch movies and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that helped me. And then I got a steady boyfriend, and you kind of forget about everything in high school and you think you're in love, right?
Yes, I do know that. Oh gosh, it's so true. what were your, you said that, your whole desire was going into nursing after that. And but you said I didn't pick up on when the husband came into play, because all I got was, oh, me and my husband. I was like, wait a second, where did this happen? So between high school and college, in that short amount of time, you fell in love, got married?
I dated my husband. I was in 11th grade. Toward the end of my 11th grade year, we met. I graduated high school in May of 1993, and I was married in July of 1993.
Wow.
And we have been married 27 years.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Yeah, it's
What-
uncommon.
It is uncommon, and what is it that you think is kind of the glue that has kept y'all's relationship bonded?
Trauma, being able to go through trauma and stay together and be just patient with one another and giving each other space. People tell us all the time that we're backwards. He's kind of the romantic, like a girl would be, and I'm like the guy of the relationship.
Yeah.
It's like whatever. And he's just always been really patient and stepped back and let me do my thing, and so it works.
Well, that's a great testament. I'm just going to take a peek at this one more time. Oh, we're golden. Look at that. Look
We
at
don't
that.
phase it. That's the best thing about it.
It's like, go on your girls' trips.
Well, that's great, because it is, in a relationship, as much as it's important to be there, at all times, just in case. It's also just as important to back off and let someone just be there. You know what I mean? Do you think that do you think that you two meet in the middle?
Yeah.
Mostly?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not it's not a slightly out of balance kind of thing, or
No,
that's
I
great.
kind of told him when we got engaged. I said, "Well, here's what the rules are going to be."
What were
my
those? What were
parents-
some of those
my
rules?
parents,
I'm curious.
they
Yeah.
screamed and yelled and argued a lot, and that affected me when I was a kid, and I guess it still did as an adult. And I said, "We're not going to be screaming and yelling and acting stupid. I'm not going to put up with that. We're not going to do this jealous thing. I'm not doing that, and we're not going to have drugs, and we're not going to have alcohol. We're going to do everything right." And he's like, "Okay, whatever you say." And I don't think we've ever gotten into maybe 2 screaming, yelling fights our whole marriage.
Right. Oh, well, who burnt the turkey? That said, because you mentioned, the not wanting the alcohol and that kind of stuff around, was that something that was around in other people in your life that was?
My siblings mainly. I mean, my mom liked to go out to the bar every once in a while, and the thing with her doing that is there was too much attention on her because she was so beautiful, and my dad would just freak out.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that, and how we ended up adopting my little brother is my older sister had 3 children that she would not take care of.
Oh.
Because of the drugs and the drinking, and we could not control her. She wouldn't watch the kids. So my parents adopted her child and raised him as their own.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
And did they turn out all right?
Yeah.
Good.
His name's Robert. He has 2 children and a wife now, and my aunts tease and say I'm their grandma.
Shout them out. You probably love it.
It's
Robert.
Hey, Robert, what's up, brother? Congratulations. Keep up the good work. Don't stop. We love you, and we all support you here, my friend. That being said, because it seems that you've been able to find a balance between being altruistic to a degree that most people would never do. It's I don't know if it's getting more that way or less that way, but it seems like it's getting a little bit less that way, in terms of people putting themselves first before anything else. But finding a balance there, you know, just for yourself personally, how have you maintained a, you know, keeping a balance of that altruism, but also getting what you need and want out of life for your own personal happiness?
Uh, it's not easy, but because my husband is so laid back and, you know, we have our own hobbies and we go on trips together and separate, you know, so you can experience life without having that responsibility constantly.
Yeah,
And you have to have that free time
yeah.
or you'll just go insane because you take on too much.
Well, what kind of hobbies?
Well, currently we like to go hiking and things like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Go out on the lake.
Uh-huh.
I do a lot of animal rescue, so I'm always transporting dogs or taking care of dogs.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna love that. Animal rescue, you've just
Yes.
scored huge points with everybody.
Yes,
What-
I have a boxer named Charlie, and he goes on the trail with us.
How did you get involved in the animal rescue?
I've just been a dog person since I was a little kid,
Okay.
and I just cannot stand to see one mistreated.
Me
and-
too.
Yeah. I think at one time we had 8 dogs in the house.
Woo!
That's how many rescues we had. And I can't drive down the road and pass one up sitting there, you know, it's not in me. I can't do it.
Now,
So-
have you ever stopped and like helped a turtle?
Yes.
There you go. Look at
Yes.
that. I have saved a number of turtles myself. I can gladly admit.
That's a good thing.
Yes, it is. Yes, the poor turtle crossing the road bit is, you know, it's a desperate attempt. We have not designed our cities to take nature into our roads or whatever to take nature into account.
Right.
You know, you seem to have a real, genuine kind of nurturing, motherly type of attitude and character that goes across the board, from people to even places. Like you said, you know, you keep your house orderly, you take care of that, and then you have the pets and all of that. And but what I'm noticing is that it seems like this brings you the type of emotional return on investment.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem like it's weighing you down to, you know, to put yourself out there like this. It seems like that actually gives you more impetus, you know, to even do more in life.
Yeah. We just sold our store. We had a local store, and my husband's like, you got to stop. I was basically going broke trying to feed everybody that didn't have the money to feed their kids. He's like, we can't do this anymore, and he had to take the charge books away from me.
Right.
So I go a little overboard, but you know, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to help people.
I think so too. I totally think so. Maybe there's some kind of program you guys can set up for the store with customers who come in who put money towards a sort of to help those who don't have the cash. You know how they look, take a penny, leave a penny?
Yeah.
Maybe there's something that could be done there with the local community to help those who are underprivileged. And you know, if it's just because what you're doing there is a great idea, and I would love to see, you know, the private sector engage in helping out people a lot more than always relying or trying to rely on the state and this and that to do more.
Right.
You know, church groups do great work, you know, in local communities and stuff as well. I always think that, you know, the more that those kind of humane gestures are taken on by a vast majority of people, we can limit our need and need and want for a state-sponsored answer to
Right.
you know, our woes. But
I think it gets a little too broad, and money is just mismanaged. And if you can bring it down to an individual level, it may be easier to keep up with.
yeah,
It's my opinion.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you on that 100%. You know, I just find everybody's life has these really, really interesting through lines, and it seems sometimes those through lines develop over time, and some of them just seem to just be there no matter what. And do you recall, as a child, even like some of your youngest memories? Even when you're like playing with your dolls or doing stuff like that, were you always this nurturing and motherly?
I think it hits when I was very young. A man broke in on my mother, and it was very scary. And I remember every vivid detail to this day. And when that police officer came up and told me, "You're gonna be okay," that was it. I had a calm wash over me, and it was fine. And they did their job. They caught the guy. They did what they needed to do. And it was because he did a job that helped other people.
Yeah.
And that helped my mom, and that helped us. And it just clicked.
So in a way, that interaction with that police officer was a catalyst.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's always stood out in my mind, and it's so strange how I can remember vivid color, every detail of that whole night. Even my dad, I was sitting in his lap at the police station, and they were talking to my mom, and this loud siren goes off, and both of us jump, and I'm like, "Dad, you're too big and burly to be jumping like a little girl."
Oh, that must have been so
he goes,
tough
"Well, that
on your
scared
dad.
me. Did it scare you?" And I said, "Yeah." And we both started kind of laughing.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, because
my dad got a gun after the guy, but he missed.
Okay. Okay.
We had went on an errand. We were doing housework, and my dad went to get some change to pay the boy that helped us. And that's when it happened while we were gone. And as we were coming in the house, the guy was going out a window, and my dad had time to grab his shotgun out of the closet. But, yeah. It was frightening.
It's
So
yes.
But I know it's a horrible story, but we survived, we got through it, and I think that's part of the nurturing part of me that kind of clicked there, and my family dynamic as well. So
It's amazing. I'm sorry that anything like that has happened to you. I know from my own personal experience over life, those kind of moments that I've had that have been in a similar context to that. It is a time when there's a push to fold or keep playing your hand.
right.
And it seems to me that what you got out of that was something that didn't push you further back into yourself, but actually brought maybe you even more out, in terms of personality and your character. What was your relationship with your parents after that incident? Was it?
There wasn't a lot of change. They were more, "Are you okay?" Just more protective, I guess. I did see a lot more of my mom reining all of us kids in. "No, you need to stay home,"
Yeah.
for a little while there. But yeah.
Okay, so then to jump forward again now, where are you at today?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I am semi-retired. I got bored and started working for a law firm. My son has graduated college and started his career. And
What's he doing?
he, oddly enough, he went to school for 2 years, didn't like it, took a year off, went back to become a welder.
It's a
and
good
has
job.
been doing that, and
It's a high-paying job right there.
yeah, he does well, and I was shocked that he chose that because he had intended to go into the acting, the entertainment industry.
Okay.
And that's what we were preparing for. We were getting ready to put him in college in Austin.
Okay.
And he just took a complete left turn.
Well, I can't say that he didn't make the right move.
Right. Well, we always told him, you have to have a backup. You have to have a backup. If you're going to go in that industry, it is so hard, and the jobs are not always steady. I said, you have to have a backup, and I guess that's why he chose the welding but he loves it.
It is. There is an art to it. There's an art form to it. There's techniques and everything. It's certainly. I had a friend of mine who was underwater deep sea welder, and on the rigs off the coast, and I mean made a bloody fortune. I mean, he would be out there for 3 months at a time and may only work twice the whole 3 months, because they only need you when they need you, but you get paid the whole time you're out there.
Right.
But great choice by him to choose welding, because there's a lack of welders and there's a need, and it's a really, really solid job. I always think that trade schools are just as essential, if not more important, than going and studying and getting like, oh, I got a degree in communications. What are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now,
agree.
if you can take apart an engine and reassemble it, guaranteed you're going to be able to make money for the rest of your life.
Right.
I think a combination of those two things is more important than people focusing completely on academia, or completely focusing on one. I think that's just my personal opinion, that the school should be a little bit more,
Push them a little bit more toward that.
Well, when I was in high school, we had wood shop, we had metal shop, we had the car thing. You could sign up for these electives. They had home ec, they had all these different things. By the time you were out of high school, I had friends who went straight into working at garages on cars and stuff right out of high school, and became big hot rod guys and stuff like that. Fixing up hot rods and everything. But that said, in listening to the arc of your story, it really is. You seem to have been pretty sharp on making the right choices when they needed to be made.
Yeah, we had, I think it comes from extended family and having that support. That I think that makes a world of difference. Even if it's just family, friends. I think that kids that would have grown up like me and had been alone, there's no way. I think if I was that kid with no one, I would be in jail. I mean, so yeah, I think having support.
I don't think you would have been in jail. I don't think so at all. Look at this face. Can you see this face behind bars? It's impossible. I mean, in some of the stories I've heard, it takes, it takes 10, 12 times to make the wrong decision to finally make the one right decision that changes the future for you. That's something that I've kind of heard a bit, and then hearing yours, it's just interesting to me, because I was never one to be able to really make the best decisions when they needed to be made most. I was kind of like, man, hold off on that for a little bit. You know what I mean? Which prolong is the inevitable of having to make a personal internal change of character, so that the external behavior alters, as well, because it all starts on the inside.
I guess my brothers just did that part for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I followed them around and watched what they did and saw how they got in trouble. It's like, oh, I don't want that end of the belt,
That is true. But seeing how artfully you seem to have been able to manage life, and even in the midst of having to put the brakes on ideas you've had for your own future, backtrack a little bit, but then build back towards it again, and remain positive the whole time. What is it that you might be able to share with us on how you've been able to personally maintain that kind of character without breaking?
Just, you got to keep going. You can't just lay down and curl up in a ball and sit there. I mean, what good is that going to do? You have to dust yourself off and get back up and keep going. And I've just had that mindset. And, just keep praying, Lord, just let me get through this.
Right. So there's an element of faith in there for you as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have a bit of a spiritual spine tucked in all of that. That you hang on to like a rope swing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's really great. Wow. With that spiritual spine in mind, because we haven't really talked about that much, and we don't have to get too in depth into it, but is your this relationship you have, this kind of spiritual quality that you have, was that something that you developed on your own, or something that was introduced to you?
Introduced, my grandmother took all of us grandkids to church every Sunday, little country church.
Mm-hmm.
And the private schools that I went to were Christian based.
Okay.
So on the weekends, I went to a Baptist church. During the week, I went to a Pentecostal school.
Well, that's interesting.
And yeah, and we had Bible
It's a lot of hellfire and brimstone.
Yeah. A lot. So, that was just part of my life all growing up.
And do you think because some people who've grown up, it pushes them away a little bit, but how was your balancing act um, between being taught, kind of a religious doctrine, or, versus what your own normal experience in life was? Was it?
I think the balance was it wasn't forced.
There you go.
My
Okay.
grandmother would say, "You guys get in the car if you're going to go to church with me. It's not get up, get dressed, go to church. You're going every Sunday, no matter what." So we got to develop it on our own and at our own pace.
That's a pretty genius psychological trick
She
your
was
grandma
good.
played there, because it's also one of those things. It's like, once one kid says, "Oh, hey, I want to go," the other ones are like, "I can't let him be the only one that wants to go," or whatever, and next thing you know,
And
everybody's in the car excited
You're
to go.
exactly right. That's how it happens.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, that's a big difference. Like you said, it's a big difference when you're given your own kind of decision making even at that age, to either want to be a part of it or not want to be a part of it, or whatever the case may be. I wasn't raised, in going to church really at all, and had to carve out my own sort of spiritual spine to things, and it took a lot, because in my late junior high, early high school years, I couldn't really lean on much when it comes to like a religious type of upbringing, or any kind of balance of morals versus ethics, or you know what I mean, because I just didn't. It was a Wild West show for me to figure it out for myself. I had to do
Yeah.
it by trial and error, you know what I mean, which I don't recommend. But
But as long as you figure it out.
oh
right?
yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I have my whole life is really a spiritual journey at this point, and it has been since I was in my 20s, really. And most of all of the decisions that I'm making are based on what this spiritual journey is of mine. And this trip right here is blowing me away. That's for sure. With that being said, you've been able to blend a spirituality, a personal faith, into all of this. And what's interesting is throughout our whole conversation, that really hasn't been mentioned by you, is that side of things. But were you able to incorporate what you were taught, that's theoretical, but were you able to incorporate it into your actions and your behaviors, and see that what you were taught actually manifests in a positive way in real life if you apply it, or was there a trial and error period there for you?
Maybe a little bit of trial and error, and I don't know how to answer that. I just leaned on what my grandmother taught me, and what we read in the Bible, and tried to make decisions based on that.
Yeah.
That whole cliche, "What would Jesus do?" I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
Sure.
And I knew that I had my mother as long as I did because of the miracle of that kidney transplant.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's random. Like, why was that kidney the perfect match for her? It was that other person's time to pass. and they gave their organs, and that got to my mother, and she got to live. You know, that's a miracle.
It is a miracle. Yeah, it is a
It's
miracle.
a little science, but it's a miracle.
No, it's certainly, well, that's the miracle is in the science, is in the you know, the ability to figure out how all of that stuff works, and you know, wow. Now in life, you know, how have you, where do you see kind of this journey going, as far as your spiritual base goes? I mean, are you involved in church or youth groups or anything like that? It's just sort of, you guys just have your own thing?
We don't formally go to church anymore. We took our son until he was old enough to decide what he wanted for himself.
Yeah.
He's not a big believer, and I don't force it on him. That's his choice. You know, he's sensitive to seeing things, and once he pushed that back as far as the paranormal part that he went through, he's very scientific about everything. If you can't prove it with science, that's just theory. That's not real. I mean,
There's a lot of faith in science too, I can tell you that.
So,
that's so on that note,
I don't feel like you have to be sitting in church to be a believer.
Yeah, that's what I was just about. That's funny you say that. I was about to ask, is that, you know, do you feel that it's that, because I feel like when you force your own spirituality, your own ideologies onto somebody else, generally speaking, it makes them back away. You know. Well, how have you, to wrap it up, you know, how have you managed to find that, you know, this kind of Zen-like balance that I see in your life, even in the way that you sit and communicate, and you seem very centered, very composed. Both your best friends are, you know, seem like they have the same quality of character, which is a you know, a sign that you three belong together. But what would you say it is that what would you be able to suggest or recommend for another person who might be struggling with finding balance in life, to be able to connect up to this, what I see as kind of being a Zen-like flow, you know?
You just have to find your spot. Whether it's just going on your own and just sitting and thinking by yourself, whether it's praying, a hobby you enjoy, to find the balance for yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. You have to take care of yourself mentally, physically, you know, spiritually, so that you can take care of your family and your friends and the people you love. So, I mean, just go meditate, do what you got to do to stay sane.
Yeah.
For your family and friends.
I love that. That's a great recommendation, and I think that it's one that would be easy to apply. Would be, you know, everybody needs to take your own time out. You need to put yourself in time out every now and then, and do something to center yourself and bring yourself back down, you know, to earth, and be grounded, so that we can all move forward and get along.
Yeah.
Right?
Send yourself to the corner now and then.
Send yourself to the corner. Yep. Give yourself the dunce hat. We all have to every now and then. I thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
I'm so glad y'all are doing this. I love it.
Well, you know, I really appreciate it, because I'm telling you, every single interview, there's so many nuggets of really, really juicy advice that if anybody grabs onto it and applies it to their life, are going to get results. And I think that we can all see that we all have a lot more similarities than we have uncommonalities, shall we say. Thanks so much again.
Thank
Love
you.
America Tour. We got so much more coming for you.